Με επιχειρήματα υπέρ της ενίσχυσης των δαπανών για υγεία και παιδεία, η ελληνική κυβέρνηση έδωσε σε δημόσια διαβούλευση το νομοσχέδιο για την καταπολέμηση της φοροδιαφυγής. Το νομοσχέδιο προβλέπει φορολόγηση των ελεύθερων επαγγελματιών με βάση τον κατώτατο μισθό, υποχρεωτική ανάρτηση εσόδων και δαπανών στο My Data, επέκταση της χρήσης των POS και διασύνδεση με τις ταμειακές μηχανές, απαγόρευση της χρήσης μετρητών στις αγορές ακινήτων. Αύξηση του προστίμου για χρήση μετρητών σε συναλλαγές άνω των 500 ευρώ, ρύθμιση της αγοράς των βραχυχρόνιων μισθώσεων. Το νομοσχέδιο έχει προκαλέσει σφοδρές αντιδράσεις από εκπροσώπους κλάδων ελεύθερων επαγγελματιών. Ένα από τα συχνά επιχειρήματα που επικαλούνται είναι ότι οι αρχές κυνηγούν τη μικρή φοροδιαφυγή την ώρα που οι μεγάλες εταιρείες και οι πολυεθνικές αποφεύγουν να καταβάλουν φόρους εκατομμυρίων ευρώ, χρησιμοποιώντας δίκτυα υπεράκτιων εταιριών και εταιριών που λειτουργούν ως βιτρίνες. Φοροδιαφυγή και παραοικονομία στοιχιώνουν την οικονομία όχι μόνο της Ελλάδας, αλλά ολόκληρης της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης. Σύμφωνα με εκτιμήσεις της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής, η φοροδιαφυγή και η φοροαποφυγή αγγίζουν κάθε χρόνο το 1 τρισεκατομμύριο ευρώ. Οι Βρυξέλλες έχουν λάβει σειρά μέτρων για να αντιμετωπίσουν το φαινόμενο, ωστόσο τα αποτελέσματα δεν κρίνονται μέχρι στιγμής ικανοποιητικά. Μαζί μας είναι ο Ντάνιελ Φεριέ, εκπρόσωπος της Ευρωπαϊκής Επιτροπής για θέματα φορολογικής πολιτικής, για να συζητήσουμε αν και πώς μπορεί η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση να διασφαλίσει φορολογική δικαιοσύνη. Mr. Ferrié, tax evasion is a huge problem, not just for Greece, but for the entire European Union. What are the main schemes people use to avoid paying the legal burden, the legal share of taxation?
Thank you very much. I think it's fair to say that tax avoidance is unfortunately something that happens in today's world. There's no one answer to your question. I think there are various different ways in which people might try to get around their legal obligations. But what I can say here from the point of view of the European Commission is that it is an absolute priority to make sure that fair taxation occurs within the European Union, that we make sure that all companies, big and small, that all citizens pay their fair share of tax in the EU. And we have come a long way in the past couple of years. We've made great progress. We have boosted transparency, and we now have a robust legal framework in place in the European Union to ensure that tax avoidance is something that is tackled head on.
So could you explain to us some of the main measures Brussels have taken?
Absolutely. So I think one of the first things to mention is that over the past couple of years, we have really been at the forefront of this fight against tax avoidance. As I said, fair taxation is the key word here. This is something that we really need to see right across the European Union. We have put in place a number of different rules, for example, the Anti-Tax Avoidance Directive. We have also had a number of different, what we call administrative cooperation directives, which ensure transparency and sharing of information between member states, which cracks down on those people trying to abuse our system within the single market, within the European Union. So we have made great progress in the area of tax transparency. And one important point to note, in the area of corporate taxation in particular, this is an area which was developed almost a century ago and quite clearly was not fit for purpose in today's modern, international, technological world. That's why we've been working very closely with the OECD over the past couple of years to introduce a minimum corporate tax rate. We finally reached an agreement on that. This will be entering into force very, very soon in the European Union, but also in internationally with our partners, of a minimum corporate tax rate of 15%. This is something that will be very, very good in ensuring a level playing field and making sure that fair taxation is the name of the game. The first point to mention here is that member states themselves set their tax rates. It's not for the European Commission or the European Union to set tax rates. In particular areas, for example, in the area of VAT, we have minimum rates across the European Union to ensure a level playing field. We also have a number of different areas to exchange information, to ensure transparency, but also to try crack down on those areas where tax avoidance is taking place. For example, our proposal called Unshell to fight the scourge of shell companies that are being used across the board. But first and foremost, this is a question for the member states themselves to ensure that companies and citizens within their country are abiding by the rules. I think it's important to note as well that we follow this very, very closely within the European Union from here in Brussels. One of the things worth pointing out is that every year we come out with the VAT gap report, which shows the difference between what should have been received in the area of VAT and what was actually received. And thankfully, the distance between those two things is slowly but surely coming down, which shows that member states are tackling the issue of tax avoidance.
There has been a recent report by the EU Tax Observatory that has revealed that the super rich pay almost 1% of their wealth in taxes. So how can we ask from ordinary people to declare their true income when there is such an inequality concerning the billionaires of this world?
Yeah, I think I would repeat what I said from the very, very beginning. Paying your fair share of tax for all companies, whether you're big or small, for citizens right across the European Union, is an extremely important objective, an extremely important priority for the European Union. The Tax Observatory plays a very important role in shedding light on all of these issues. This is a body that we work closely with, even though it is independent. But what I would just underline once again is that that is why we have been working so hard over the past couple of years to crack down on these practices, to crack down on any sort of loopholes that may exist in our in our tax system in the European Union.
Do you share the opinion that unfairness in taxation poses a risk to democracy?
I think that's a very, very interesting question, and I think it's something that we could talk about all day long. One of the important points to note, again, as I said, is that taxation rates are not set here in Brussels. This is a question for member states, but ensuring that there is fair taxation is a priority, has been a priority for the EU for years now. So I would say that if this is a priority, this is a priority for us in Europe, it's a priority for our European democracy.
Thank you very much.
Ευχαριστώ.